Hey everybody, this is the Unit 8 Grammar Quiz review video. The Unit 8 Grammar is questions and interrogatives. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the format. Just like your other grammar quizzes, this is fill in the blank. There are 5 fill in the blank questions. You will choose a word from the word bank that best completes the sentence. Since it's questions, there's no conjugating. You just have to know what they mean and what the sentence means and choose the correct one. To give you an idea of what I mean, a word bank would look something like this with some questions in there. And then you would have something to fill in the blank. So for example, blank está mi lápiz. The correct would be donde. So donde está mi lápiz? Where is my pencil? And that's basically how this works. So you'll have your questions to choose from. You'll look at the context, which one makes the most sense, and donde would be the best one for this one. Okay, also remember we've discussed many types of questions, how to form them, how to answer them. This quiz really only tests the interrogatives, so like your question words, what, where, why, when, etc. So just kind of keep that in mind and make sure to review that. We'll review that as well in the video. Remember that with your questions, you have to put accent marks. So just a reminder, to put the accent marks in, you will use the DOS commands, which involve using the Alt key and your number pad. So you will hold down the Alt key. You'll see that you have 2 Alt keys on either side of your space bar, and then your number pad will be over there on the right side. So there's kind of a little image for you so you can see where the Alt keys are. You'll hold down, and then the number pad is over there on the right side. Okay, so again, this covers interrogative words. You want to make sure that you know what they mean. You have several things in the OHS that you've been working on, but here is the list for you, and make sure that you're working to memorize them. We've seen a lot of these already in past vocabulary lists because we have a few questions on every list, but this is kind of a full list for you, so you'll have them all in one place. Okay, so I'm going to review some of the questions that are more familiar with you, and then we'll talk about the other set. So, como means how. This one's very familiar because first thing when we started Spanish class, we learned como estás, how are you, and then como eres, what are you like, where we described ourselves as I'm smart, I'm pretty, I'm interesting. Okay, so those are the 2 questions that we talked about early on that have como, so that should be pretty familiar. And maybe a way to help you remember that, oh yeah, como means how, like como estás, how are you? So keep that in mind. Como means how, anywhere it is in a question. Que, of course, means what. We have learned several phrases with que. Que pasa, que tal, those both mean what's up. We've talked about que clase, what class, and several others as we have moved to the content, but these are a couple that maybe you would remember the what part of. So whenever you see que with another question, you can remember, oh yeah, that means what, just like it was in what's up. Note the accents here, as I mentioned earlier, so don't forget that interrogatives have accent marks. Okay, cuando is when. We learned cuando back when we started talking about our birthdays. Cuando es, and then we can fill in the blank with an event, a date, birthday. Cuando es tu cumpleaños? When is your birthday? And of course, cuando will be when, wherever it is in the question. And then donde we had also previously learned. So donde means where. Way long time ago, we learned de donde eres, where are you from? And you'll see the little donde is in the middle because de donde means like from where. We can also have donde alone, like donde está, where is an item, and we do that a lot in class with practicing our vocab. We might say like donde está, a picture of something, and when we practice our vocabulary. So that should be a pretty familiar phrase as well. So these 4 I would say are probably the most familiar to you already, but of course you saw a second ago that we have a lot more interrogatives than just these 4. So I want to help you notice some things like the plurals. So take a look at cuánto. Cuánto means how much or how many. And you'll see that there's actually 4 forms. So when we ask how much, we're going to use cuánto every time because cuánto is how much. When we ask how many, we're going to use the form that agrees with the noun that we are modifying. So for example, you can see in my arrow here, ¿cuántos lápices tienes? how many pencils do you have? So that's how I'm saying how many. I want to make sure that the word cuánto, whatever form I choose, matches up with that noun. Since the noun is pencils, it's plural and masculine, I need the plural masculine ending, which is os. So cuántos is what I want for this one. If that word had been feminine, it would have been a different form. It would have been cuánta for singular, cuántas for plural. So whenever you're saying how many, make sure to match it up with the noun you're talking about. If it's just how much in general, you're going to use cuánto every time. Okay, another one with plural forms is cuál. Cuál means which, so does cuáles. Cuál will be used for singular, cuáles will be used for plural. Again, we are using it with the noun modified or understood. So you'll hear cuál es a good bit. I try to use that sometimes in class. So cuál es is like, which is it? So even though we don't know what it is, we know it's something singular since we're saying cuál. Another example there is cuáles libros son de Juan? Which books are Juan's? So cuáles matches up with libros. Libros is books and it's plural, so I needed cuáles instead of cuál this time, since it's all about agreement. All right, any other one with two forms is quién and quiénes. So they both mean who. Quién is used for singular and quiénes is used for plural. So there that is. If I say quién es él, who is he is one person, singular, I'm going to use quién. And then quiénes son ellos, who are they? They is plural, so I have to use the plural form of quién. And of course, just like the other questions, all three of these sets have accent marks as well. Okay, so here are the other questions that we have not discussed yet. Note that some of these questions have the same root interrogative. So like you can see with donde, I left donde up there at the top. Donde shows up in a donde. We talked about de donde. They all have something to do with where. Okay, the difference is just the front word. De meaning from, a donde, a means to. So we're saying to where, like where are you going? You'll see that por qué and para qué, they both have the K part, but the difference in why is for what reason versus for what purpose. We just talked about quién versus quiénes, meaning who. Same as donde, sometimes you'll see a quién, to whom, and then de quién, whose, like whose books are those. Okay, so just kind of keep that in mind. They're very similar as far as their definitions, but the use is just a little bit different. Okay, so I have some practice for us. 5 sentences here. And the big thing about this quiz is you want to make sure that you are looking at the vocabulary to figure out what the question says so that you can put the right interrogative there. For these examples, there is a second sentence to help you figure out the context. Okay, so I have our word bank up here at the top in green. And our first question says, blank es la chica, and it gives us more information by saying la chica es Maria. So something is the girl is Maria. So the correct question for this one would, of course, be quién. And you can pause the video and try these on your own if you would like, and then check your answers. So quién, we know, means who, and that would make sense to say who is the girl. The girl is Maria. So it's kind of a question-answer thing here. Okay, moving down, blank están los alumnos. Remember, alumnos is another word for estudiantes. So I'm asking something, are the students? And the answer is, los alumnos están en la escuela. Remember, estar is used to tell where. So the students are in the school. So your key there is where they are. So we need the word where, which of course is donde. So we're going to put donde for that one. Moving down, blank es el libro. El libro es de Juan. There's that keyword de. So for this one, we want to put de quién. So whose book is it? The book is Juan's. Moving down, blank van los chicos a concierto. Los chicos van a concierto en carro. Remember that carro is a car. That's one of our cognate words. We're saying that the boys are going to the concert in the car. So our question here would be like, how are they going? How are they getting there? And we know that how is como. All right, our last one says, blank es el mes de la Navidad. Navidad means Christmas. You may know that from the song Feliz Navidad. And our answer here is diciembre es el mes de la Navidad. December is the month of Christmas. So only word left in our word bank up there. Cuando we know means when. And we're saying when is the month of Christmas. And the answer, of course, is December. So that's kind of what you'll be doing on this quiz. You want to make sure that you understand the vocabulary, in context and choose the correct word from the word bank. If you feel like you need some more practice, make sure to attend your live sessions this week. Also, make sure you've done all the activities in the OHS. There's lots of good stuff there to help you practice. And then if you still need help, please request a learner conference with your teacher to meet one-on-one. Thanks, guys.